How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another XRP update. Today is a very important day. Yesterday we saw the daily candle close under my key level of support, so this bounce is a real test. What we could actually see is a potential rejection from the moving averages, but what I do like is that it actually came down to my level exactly, $1.90. Now I was expecting the 200 EMA to be tested, but we can see a bounce has come in the past without testing it. I do believe, though, if this, as it's important today, as we lost this key level support yesterday, $206, it's important for this bounce to recover the moving averages. Otherwise, it will eventually bleed back down into this level. So in this key area, the signal that it would go lower would be any bearish patterns, candlestick patterns like a bearish engulfing, what you see here. So there was actually an attempted breakout. You see how the red one engulfs the previous? This is a bearish signal, or any shooting stars in this area between $2.28 and $2.46. So XRP needs to now recover this key level. In doing so, it will run back into this head and shoulders neckline. I'm going to extend it a little bit more into the future now. So while remaining under this level, as we find the moving averages already under, and this being a key level, remember that failing to break through this will send it into the 200 EMA, very key level support, which you would say for the bulls out there, it must protect. So a move that sustains to the upside must form from this level, above this level. So at all costs, XRP cannot lose $1.90 with this wick down here at $1.78 as well. So this key box, by losing it, we would lose the diagonal neckline of the pattern, but also the horizontal neckline of the pattern. So it would be looking for much lower targets. But while still above the 200 EMA, it has every right to keep attempting to invalidate the pattern. And that's what's been going on the past few weeks. There was an initial breakdown and recovery, followed by another breakdown and recovery, followed by another breakdown. So it's just kept on playing with investors as it keeps breaking down, recovering, breaking down, recovering, breaking down, ultimately over here. So the pattern is, of course, formed and valid. I was suggesting this as early as back over here with this falling wedge. The target would just be $3.15. And we can see there have been attempts to get up there, but at every hurdle before that point, it rejects and heads lower. So while still remaining above $1.78, and with yesterday's daily candle close, today's recovery is super important for a sustained move long term that will see the moving averages and the head and shoulders neckline recovered. So from down here, the bulls must see XRP recovering the moving averages, the neckline, and then $3.15. So all of this needs to recover. From there, I'll be the most bullish out of all of you, suggesting that XRP would be going to $4, $5, and maybe $6.50. But ultimately, from here, there is no guarantee. There are no absolutes here, and the probabilities are currently still weighted more in favor of the bearish scenario, since it keeps losing all these key levels. When it's recovering those key levels, which they need to hold a support, they're not holding a support. So it keeps putting itself in a worse position than before. It keeps proving those warning signs I was sending earlier on a few months ago. But however, I must still say that while above the 200 EMA, it does have the right to pump. It does have the probability there in its favor still, but there are more against it right now, because although it should bounce from here, it's got so many obstacles that it can keep failing at, and that's what we've seen so far. It's coming very close to the point where it's going to get lost soon. So if a sustained move happens, it has to happen literally now. I know we broke down yesterday, but that's why today is so important. From here, it must recover all these key levels. Why? Because if we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, it's a super key resistance. If it's breaking through, that means Bitcoin's going to take dominance, which then suggests, in my opinion at least, that, well, it could mean two things. But I'll tell you which one's most likely. I'll tell you the one that's least likely but can definitely happen, where Bitcoin outperforms the rest of the market while pumping more than altcoins. But this is very unlikely to happen. If Bitcoin's pumping, altcoins will, of course, pump more. So the likely scenario where Bitcoin dominance pushes through this final key resistance is the market actually dumping. So let me just readjust it. I was using a different time frame. My apologies. So on this time frame, it's looking like it's breaking through. But the time frame that I was using before, if you don't pay for TradingView, I don't know if you can access it. But that's sometimes on different time frames, the levels are different. Look, you can see the 1 fib and the 0 fib are not even connecting to these 2 points. But on a different time frame, they could be there. I don't know. Don't ask. It is what it is. But just adjust it to the time frame you're using. This was the one I was, so we could see that it's an all-important resistance level anyways. Just looking at where all the candle closures were, but also using the fibs. It's the final one before the reversal wave is created. And we can see already on this time frame it's actually broken out, but I'll remain to see if the daily candle close is above 62%. Yes, the daily time frame, you can see these are not on here. It changes the levels quite slightly. And now it actually puts it in a worse situation, because you'd say it's definitely broken out at that point, because you can see it's already above 62%. So just wait for the daily candle close to see if it's above 62.04%. And then we'd know if we have this breakout on Bitcoin dominance, which means, unfortunately, that the wick will eventually get filled. The next upcoming resistance, 62.9 to 63.5. So that's where we'll be pumping into next, essentially. Going back to XRP, that would mean that a move up into the moving averages will be a false move, and we're actually rolling over down into this key area. It's the last chance saloon now, so that's why it's super important from here. I will update it as it develops, but I'm just going to constantly warn that there are so many hurdles up ahead, even though this has to be where the move that recovers $3.15 must begin from. At that point of recovery, I will say that we're heading up into these targets next. That's it from me today. Like, subscribe, comment, and share to help me bump up the algorithm and get to 10k subs. If you want to get educated, use the links down below. Cheers.